Welcome to the New School of Marketing podcast, the place for smart, simple strategies that will amplify your business results. Sharing practical tips, insider knowledge, and actionable advice because marketing is something that every business owner can do. Now, let's get started. Introducing your host, Bianca McKenzie, mum, lover of snow sports, camping, horse riding, and in-demand launch strategist and Facebook advertising knowledge bank.
Welcome back to the podcast. How are you? Oh my goodness, where did the year go? I seriously can't believe it's December and the end of the year is so close. I've done all my Christmas shopping, so I'm ready to go, all prepared. And I hope you are, getting there as well. If you're anything like me, you'll probably have started planning for 2021. And that's why I wanted to talk to you about how Facebook advertising fits in with your bigger marketing picture. In episode 14, I talked about the importance of creating a marketing plan and a marketing strategy. If you haven't listened to that yet, listen back to that episode because it really goes hand in hand with this episode. So yeah, creating a plan for the year ahead is incredibly important, but probably don't have to tell you that. Really, planning is, it's ingrained in me, and planning is so important. Even if, things don't always go to plan, and 2020 is definitely a great example for that one. But, I'm all ready to start planning for 2021 and diving into it. And hopefully next year we won't have such a rough year and things will go to plan a little bit more. So if you're planning for the year ahead already, you'll probably be thinking about things like when your launches are, what your content calendar will look like, roughly. Also what your social media calendar will look like roughly. So it goes hand in hand with all the content, all the things that you might be launching during that year. Maybe you're thinking about which new products or services you will add to your suite of offers. Maybe you're thinking about how many clients you want to work with and, can realistically work with if you're doing one-to-one work. There's so many things to think about. And look, everyone has their own take on planning and that's totally okay. It's great, really. Everyone has to just do what works for them. I made my own planning book because I kind of had amalgamated all these things from other people. And I was like, you know what? I like that bit and that bit and that bit. I'll just make my own. So what I'm going to share with you today might work for you, or maybe only parts of it might work for you. Take what you need from this episode and make it your own to suit your business and what you want to do. So I'll be sharing my thought process of how I use and plan Facebook ads into my business. But first up, I do my overall planning for the year, which highlights what particular activity I'll be doing in a particular month of the year. So I literally sit down with a really big calendar and I look at, firstly, when public holidays are and things like that, like important holidays. And then I sort of plan around that. I look at the moon phases a little bit and at Mercury retrograde. But look, I can't be sitting back all the time and I sort of just have to, do the best I can. So I plan around a number of things. First thing I do is I put in there when I want to take holidays. It's very important. And then I sort of just plan my launches around that and what I want to do for the year. So it's really important to have some plan in place for your year, and then you can use Facebook ads to support that plan. For example, I'm planning to launch my signature Facebook ads program twice next year, and I'll definitely be using Facebook ads to support my list growth for this launch. At the moment, I'm thinking that my first launch will be in March, which means that I will have planned my pre-launch for January and February. So it might be April, just to give me a little bit more sort of space because I am taking January off. But, this is kind of how I work. My pre-launch will then be January, February or February, March. Pre-launching basically means that all the activities I need to do before opening carts. So what do I need to do? I need to build my list. I need to have socials ready. I need to have my email sequences ready, that kind of thing. So in this case, list building, is one of them that I need to plan my ads for. And I need to then run my list building ads before I open my cart. So I basically break down my ads into categories if I'm, doing launches, and I do this for clients as well. So there's pre-launch list building and engagement, like really warming people up, coming into your network, and then getting them onto your email list. Then there is the open cart phase, which is mostly a retargeting phase for everyone who's already on the list, people that have engaged on Facebook or Instagram. And then the last phase is often a cart closing, if there's a cart closing phase. And I will be launching, so yes, there will be cart close. So yeah, you've got your pre-launch, your open cart, and your cart close. Now, I've often like a few more layers in each of these categories, but for the sake of this episode, I'm trying to keep it simple. So using these categories, I then carefully plan which dates I will be advertising a free opt-in or a webinar to build my list. And then I use this data to retarget once my cart is open. And retargeting is basically a method of showing your ads to those who are already familiar with you because they've clicked on your site, where they may or may not have signed up. They might be on your list or have visited one of your pages or engaged. Like, they are basically people that know you in some way. So I sit down with my calendar on which I've planned all my launches out, and then I determine how I'm going to support my launches with Facebook ads. Then I look at my pre-launch period and set dates for running Facebook ads to grow my list. And most of the time, this is a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks in which I run ads to like a free download or a video series for about 4 to 5 weeks, and then ads to potentially a live webinar for approximately 10 days. Webinars are a little bit trickier because often we can't have super long run-up time. So this is why I run ads to a download first and a webinar later, because it just needs a little bit more of that time. And I like to it's kind of like an insurance policy a little bit, that I do a free download. So I have a checklist, or actually I have a Facebook Ad Success Bundle, and that is my list builder. And then I can do webinars towards cart opening. And literally both methods are geared towards list building. It's just there's different ways to do it. So I'm totally using examples here, and I don't want you to feel like you must run a video series or you must do a webinar. You need to find out what kind of lead magnet works for your audience. Maybe your audience wants a challenge. Maybe your audience wants a quiz. Maybe your audience wants a checklist, like something simple. You need to find out what your audience wants. So yeah, don't feel like you have to do what I do. As I mentioned earlier, I'm planning to do 2 launches for Facebook ads for my list building and launching program. So I'll be duplicating what I've done for my first launch for the second launch. I will always review what went well or not so well during my first launch, and then I can adjust my strategy for the second launch. I just want to have something in the calendar at the start of the year. So I don't want to have to, wait for the first launch to then plan the second launch. I kind of want to have that space dedicated in my calendar so I know what's going to happen, and then I can always make changes. So that's my approach to doing ads for launches in a nutshell. There's so many layers, so many more layers to it, but I want to keep it simple. If you do not do launches and you do evergreen courses or digital products, you might take a different approach. So my Facebook Ads for Online Stores course is an evergreen course, which means that people don't need to wait for a cart open during launches. They can buy it anytime, any day. I do build in some sort of urgency every so often, where I do a launch where they get a bonus, or I've just wrapped up a Black Friday bonus sale. There are things that sort of bring a little bit of urgency, but overall it's an evergreen launch. They can just join it every single time and run ads. So to grow my list for Facebook Ads for Online Stores, I simply look at my numbers from the year before to decide on my budget, and then I run the ads just continuously. I run ads the whole time. Because the two courses, like they have a very different audience and they don't compete against each other. So I can run them side by side. If you have offers that compete against each other, you can pare back advertising for one while you focus on the other, because otherwise you might just be competing against yourself in the ad space. So you kind of want to have one focus, but it's entirely up to you what you do, to be honest. So sales for my courses are driven by the number of people who sign up to my list and are then nurtured through email sequences to purchase. So it's really important to focus on growing my list. And the fastest way I know to do this is to run Facebook and Instagram ads. So I also pay attention to what other advertisers are doing during the year so that I'm not spending more than I have to, because I don't want to compete against businesses with really big budgets. And look, this is something that sometimes I just have to, in a way, suck it up. Because, for example, Marie Forleo promotes a B-School program in February and March. So I try to avoid running ads around this time, or I adjust my targeting by not, targeting Marie Forleo's students. But sometimes, like I said, I just have to suck it up. If I want to launch in a certain, in a certain period, I just have to do it that way. But I do try to pay attention to it. In the end, though, it's important to keep an eye on all of your numbers. It might seem obvious, but the main goal of using Facebook advertising is to make more sales, whether that's immediately because that's how your funnel performs, or whether it's later because your audience needs a longer period of time before they purchase from you. So keep an eye on your numbers at all times, like know all of your conversion rates, know all of your numbers. So the method I described for launches and for Evergreen, it works for me, but it might not work for you, and that's totally okay. Take what you need from my method and focus on your own. I simply wanted to share my method with you and highlight some of the things to look out for, such as, peak advertising times for your industry. And if you have an e-commerce business, your plans might look a little different. You'll most likely focus on seasons or when certain stock comes in. So you need to play around your stock levels or like certain, seasonal events or things on the calendar. As an e-commerce business, you can pretty much advertise all year round and then put extra focus and budget into peak season sales, such as, Black Friday, Christmas, Mother's Day, or whatever is on the calendar for you. On top of that, you can run awareness or consideration campaigns to build a stronger relationship with your audience. And this is especially important if your price point is higher, because your customer needs to be able to relate and really see themselves in the story. And for higher price points, you will almost always need to build your relationship first, which you can do with ads. You can do with organic social media and with email marketing. They just need a little bit more nurturing, or sometimes a lot more nurturing, before they decide to purchase. So start planning your ads for next year, just like you would plan your social media calendar, just like you would plan your launches and your other marketing activities, or at least I hope you plan them. And then put a marketing budget towards your ads. And you know what? Know that you can always change things along the way. And if 2020 has, taught us anything, is, I don't like to use the word, but to pivot, we can make changes along the way. But it's important to have, some sort of an idea of what you want to do. Anyway, if you have any questions about planning your Facebook ads for 2021, get in touch with me via DM on Instagram. You can find me at New School of Marketing on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the New School of Marketing podcast. If you're ready to take your business to the next level with Facebook and Instagram advertising, make sure you visit newschoolofmarketing.com to download practical free resources, plus subscribe to the podcast and never miss an episode. I can't wait to go on this journey with you. Until next time, take care and market your business every day.